Hi guys. So I was I was talking about my edits and stuff in my book with a friend who was proofreading it, and he's a guy, and I just thought it was so interesting that he related to some of the things I wrote. And I feel like I just thought it was a woman thing, like we go through. Then obviously I know that people go through similar things no matter, but anyway. So the idea that he resonated with or that he related with or whatever was about immigrant families moving and mental health and things like that. Because my book has a lot of everything. So that part was something that struck out and he related with. And then I asked about that because it was something I questioned when I think I was in Malaysia around 2014, I think. What year was it? Yeah, it was around 2015. Because the war happened in Yemen, and a lot of people were leaving Yemen, and the only country, or one of the very few countries that offered free visa on arrival was Malaysia. So a lot of them escaped to Malaysia. Some people went to Europe and everything. Anyway, some people went through a lot of shit. And sorry, mind the language. A lot of men faced cultural transitions and changes and shifts, and people don't talk about that. There's this regular scenario and regular thought of women coming from conservative backgrounds and having to change and adapt, and it's very liberating for them. And I'm just using these terms very loosely. I'm like, oh, freedom and all that, okay? So it's a very old narrative. Everyone knows about it. Everyone's heard about it. But what struck me was the men, because some of my family relatives and leaving the country, people who didn't even leave the country, the war, the situation and what it does to a man, and like it strips them of their dignity, their self-worth, and as providers of the family, traditionally that's how men are perceived in Yemen. And so they do go through a lot of that. And so I remembered this, and I asked him about what does it feel like to be, and the same question I asked one of my friends back in Yemen when he moved to Germany. And I asked him, what are the struggles that you go through? And he didn't know how to answer that. He's like, huh? Men are not asked about the struggles they go through and how they struggle with becoming a man. How to become a man is a struggle. And it's such a huge struggle that we don't talk about nowadays. We talk more about women, and the feminist movement has really taken another leap. To the extent, especially in the West, where men are abused. Men need to be re-empowered. But anyway, going back to the immigrant families and moving, I asked him, what were the struggles that you went through to adjust to be a man? And to him, he didn't think of it as a struggle. He was struggling, in every way. But when I asked him, he didn't recognize it was a male specific struggle, because his wife was doing well. She was struggling, obviously, but not in the same way, because this is what she wanted. This is something that was liberating for her. It was more of a security and safety net for her to move to another country. But for him, it was a struggle. He was struggling. His masculine energy, his male identity was struggling. And so my friend told me this as well. I said, how did you relate? And he's like, because as a kid from an immigrant family background, the moving, the being a man here, not being able to fit, almost like trying to find to fit in even to the queer circle, or even just to fit in somewhere. Like he tried to what's the word? He tried to change his identity to fit in to the culture here. It wasn't something that he knew how to be naturally. And everything in the culture in Canada, or like generally in the West, kind of prioritizes and puts first the female perspective on things. Even in education, the way kids are educated, it's a very, how do I say, in my opinion anyway, a female-centric education. It doesn't put in mind that there are two gender, I mean, more than genders, but you know what I mean, like there's male, as well. And I think that is not highlighted enough. The aspect of what it is to be a man, I don't think people talk about that. It's almost like women can always criticize men, but they are struggling to be men, how to be men in a society where there isn't a place where they fit in. Coming from immigrant family background is completely different, because traditional families have a different idea of what a man is, how they control their emotions, how they just a lot. Like, I'm not a man, so I don't know. Okay, so I want to ask men this question: what are the struggles that you go through in life, in your creation of your identity as a male, as a man? Sorry, there's difference, I guess, female and man. I'm not really good with these terms, okay? So bear with me if I offended anyone. Like, this is not my intention. I just need to ask, what are the struggles that men go through in becoming a man in this society, in becoming a man? Like, British. Anyway, so that's my question. Men, please speak your mind. What is it to be a man, in your view? Is it difficult to be a man? What do you struggle with? Who do you talk to? Yeah, what is a man? This foreign alien thing that everyone criticizes. Like, yeah, there's so much to a man that a man only understands, I think. That's what I think. But men, you speak for yourselves, please. And don't give me some misogynist Andrew Tate stuff. That is far from a man. Sorry. I'm sure he's a man, but that's not an ideal idea. I'm just talking about idea. I don't know who he is, how he is as a person, but the ideas of what he speaks about of being a man, that's just a bit much. But yeah, please do tell. I have examples in my life of men. Men are of different types, so many different types of men. Why do I sound like Trump right now? Anyway, you get me. Men, please speak more. Thank you. Bye.